Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob ENT podcast. We are back. The big three is on. Mob, Greg, fellas, how y'all doing?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm back from the West Coast.
How was Cali?
It was interesting, man, seeing how the other half lives. I was out in Inglewood and all that nonsense. Crenshaw, Slauson, you know, the trees gangbang out there. So it was real interesting literally being out there riding around them streets. I will say, my slander by Russell Westbrook kid's a little bit different now. I'm not messing with that dude because he's the type of dude growing up where he grew up in South Central, West Side, all that nonsense. Like I'm not rocking with those dudes. Like they're different. They're different. It's not good out there.
But he was driving in the Uber talking about some, let me out, man. Like, like Cuba Gooding. Yo, let me out, man.
Yo, I was on the way back. It was on the airport. We drove through all that nonsense. Like, yo, this is crazy. This looks, and then some of the parts in LA look just post-apocalyptic. Like the homelessness is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Oh my God, they're everywhere, man. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I heard Franklin Saint's still out there. So I mean,
yeah, honestly, there's about 10. I saw about 10 to 15 different Franklin Saints out there. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. And they really don't like Drake out there. Damn.
They make North look superb.
I don't know about all that. North don't look superb against anything. but I will say in comparison to like Inglewood or whatever, I think they both equally scared the living hell out of me.
You on that one? I ain't been out west yet, but I will keep that in mind.
Orange County's more speed, man. I'll go with the Republicans for a little bit, man. It's better. They living better out there.
Yep, flip it.
Hey man, we got a special episode for y'all tonight. Jam packed. We're gonna be talking about NBA legacies. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Luka Doncic. Of course, we're going to talk about the coaching search for the Lakers. Dan Hurley did not choose LA. What's next for them? Caitlin Clark, not on the Olympic squad. Was it a snub? Was it the right thing? And then we got quarterback talk. Trevor Lawrence got paid. Dak's supposed to be up next. Tua, Jordan Love. So that's our episode right there. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. We're not trying to just be here for a good time. We're trying to be here for a long time. Andre Iguodala said, in the finals, you want to set a statement like, this is me. This is who I am. Everyone is watching. What does this finals say about the legacy for? We'll start off with Jason Tatum, who right now is averaging 35.9 from the field, 29.6 from 3-point, 8.7 boards, 7.3 assists, 3.7 turnovers, 84% from the free throw line with 21 points per game.
I mean, I think we talked about it, but in the last podcast we had, and we spoke about what his legacy, what this could do for his legacy if he played well, and obviously what it could do if he didn't. And we gave our predictions, and I predicted that he wouldn't play well because he hasn't played well in big moments. He just really hasn't. In fact, I'd say that more of his legacy to this point has really been about how he comes up small in big moments. With all that talent, with all the ability in the world, he just comes up small, and it's really annoying to watch and frustrating because it's all in the shot selection. We've talked about it before, but the step back threes, the pull up contested jump shots, the bailouts where Steph Curry at 6'1" is able to body you up from the perimeter, and then you're going to just fall into a fadeaway jump shot right into his hands instead of forcing the issue and getting to the middle of the floor, getting to the paint and creating a basket for yourself or someone else. It's tough. It's tough with Jason Tatum. I mean, honestly, I look at him and I just see someone who has a bunch of untapped potential, and I don't know that he'll get there. Hopefully he does, but it's an intelligence thing. I really believe that's a basketball IQ thing. I think he's smart enough to know that, hey, I'm not shooting well, so let me do other things like get rebounds. I do believe that, but it isn't necessarily like his assists are like where he's generating easy opportunities for other people necessarily. Sometimes they're just swings, right? He's making the right play, and I give him credit for that. But I do think it burns him up inside that he isn't playing great, that he isn't, the number one option for that team, that he isn't going to be the Finals MVP. I do think it burns him up inside a bit, and you can see it in some of the shots he takes. You can see it in certain moments. I know he didn't play bad statistically, but in the last game, in Game 3, but he certainly didn't play well. If you're going to really hold him to a superstar level caliber, and look, maybe we have to change our expectations for Jason Tatum. Maybe he's just a star. There's nothing wrong with that. That might just be what it is. And this team didn't even need him to play at a star level in this series for them to win, because they have so many things around him and such a great ecosystem around him that he doesn't have to play great. That's just the reality of it. Jaylen Brown has ascended. You know what I mean? And that's just the reality of it. He makes big shots in big moments. He's their vocal leader. You hear Brian Windhorst and them talking about how Jaylen Brown is the guy they hear the most during timeouts, him and Al Horford. So you're not even doing that, Jason Tatum, right? So I do think that this ultimately goes to a place where Jason Tatum will want to prove himself. And I do think he'll end up going somewhere. I don't think he's going to retire a Celtic if Jaylen Brown is there. I think he's going to go somewhere else, and I think he'll follow that Kobe mold. He's a big Kobe guy. He wore the Kobe roll-up shirt before this series. He texted Kobe after Kobe had left us. And he showed it. He shared that message with the world, thinking that it was, inspirational. And that's, that's a moment. We all have our opinions about it. I won't get into that. But reality is, I think that he's the kind of guy that wants to carry the load and prove people wrong. And I'll say this, and I'll leave you with this too. I think that these NBA stars, yeah, right. You see, you can't do that in 2024. I think thanks to Diddy, but. So you messed up my whole joint on live too. What I would say is about Tatum, I think that it's a bigger thing where I think all of these NBA superstars care about narrative. Because at the end, that's all you really have. You can win a bunch of championships, but at the end of the day, you want to be viewed as one of the greatest players ever play the game. People decide that, people in barbershops decide that. It isn't decided by a group of writers that vote you MVP. It isn't decided by a committee that votes for the NBA top 75. It's decided by people. People, they hold you in high esteem. They're the ones who say you're the GOAT. We wouldn't be saying Jordan was the GOAT, right? Or is the GOAT if he hadn't won over the hearts of millions of people worldwide. So I just feel like the narrative really does matter to these guys. And I think that for Tatum, it does too. You can see the weight on his shoulders, even though they're up 3-0. He's not playing like he doesn't look like someone who's content. That's just not really the way I view him. But I know that I'll get a lot of hate from Boston fans about, how I'm wrong and all that nonsense. You know how that go.
Miles, for you, before we go, Jaylen Brown, what do you think this series, especially with its projected Vegas and all the sports talking heads, have pegged Jaylen Brown as the Finals MVP? What does this do for his legacy, Jason Tatum?
I don't think sure, in the moment right now, it's not the best optic. Like, you're the best player, the guy everybody touts as, he's been first team All NBA the last couple years now. So he's been kind of like raised up to be the guy, that next Celtics great, following the footsteps of Paul Pierce and Larry Bird. And now it's on you to kind of carry that mantle. But like you said, he kind of hasn't held his own in these big moments. He's had moments in the playoffs, but they're just too far in between of playing well and then, you have an off night. So like Game 3, he played pretty well, although towards the end he's kind of taking silly shots, some step back threes that he shouldn't take, so the numbers don't look as good as they did. And of course, who's there to save the day? Jaylen Brown. So that doesn't look good either. So he's still young. He's like, 25, 26. And this Celtics team, I think, is good enough to make a few more runs at the finals. And I think he'll have more chances. Although you don't want to bank on that, because things can really change in the blink of an eye. I mean, the Bucks championship window closed pretty quickly. Even though they got Dame, I still think it's closed. The Warriors is closed. But the Celtics, they've made a lot of good moves to kind of prolong their window. Getting Drew Holiday is probably the best move they've made since getting Garnett, probably. So, but for Tatum, it just confuses me because a guy with that much talent, and of course, we fall in love with. He's got the back to the basket game. He can hit the mid range shot, but for some reason, he falls in love with the perimeter and shooting threes. And I think in the last game, he was like 2 for 12 or something like that from three. Like you taking that many threes, you still had a good game, but like imagine if half of those threes you try to go to the basket. Like I was telling somebody else, like if you get fouled and you put up a shot, the shot doesn't count. Like it doesn't count towards your. I mean, that's a way of like stat padding, but like in the grand scheme of things, like put your head down, get to the basket. Like you can. You got the handles, you got the moves. You can get by most guys easily. Like him posting up point guards like Kyrie or Jaden Hardy, and somehow you back him down twice, and then you're taking a fadeaway shot. Like it makes no sense to me. So I feel like he almost should look at Luka's game in a way, because Luka's he knows how to exploit the defenses. He knows how to exploit mismatches. Whether a smaller guy's on him, you back him down and take him in the cup to the cup, and then you get a big man on you, like you can blow by that guy. And we've seen it. We've seen him do this. But like for some reason, I feel like he falls in love with the jump shot, falls in love with the perimeter game, and that's not gonna fly if you're not Steph Curry or somebody who can hit the shot at a elite clip. Like it looks good in the regular season because teams you're playing different teams every night. Nobody's gonna play you as hard. You're gonna get calls that you normally won't in the playoffs. So man, it's a tough pill to swallow with Jalen Brown most likely winning Finals MVP, and then you have to sit there and kind of. I'm just gonna wait for Get Up to overanalyze his reaction to him getting another trophy instead of cheering him on. They're thinking, oh, he clapped 2 seconds later than his teammates, so he's clearly not happy for Jalen Brown. Like they always try to draw these guys apart, but um, it's good. I mean, it's a good thing to have those two guys where they're like battling. It's a healthy competition between them. I think it's an unspoken competition between them. Like Jalen Brown, you're the second guy. You're not the best player on the team, so that makes him go harder. And now this is going to make Jason Tatum go harder. So I think it's just going to make this team a whole lot better in the long run.
Now, Jalen Brown, to your point, he mentioned in the press conference today, they would ask him about, what did he work on to somebody get better? And he said that the main thing that he worked on was the mental aspect, getting over self, having a more mental toughness. And Celtics fans have been on my head top with them going up 3-0 in the DMs. I need to see the apologies. Y'all picked the Mavericks. So I'll say, but on behalf of the bench mob ENT, I owe the Celtics an apology. I thought they were going to chuck up a bunch of threes, not drive it to the basket at all, not get mid-range at all. They've chucked up a bunch of threes. They haven't shot the best. But the surprising thing that I've seen this series, Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown has done a great job of getting to the basket, making sure that he's getting mid-ranges. To your point, Jason Tatum, step back three when the Mavericks were coming back in game 3. Step back three. The very next play, Jalen Brown gets a mid-range that takes the air out the gym. The Mavs, that run stops. Jalen Brown, what does this do for his legacy? A man that everybody was talking about, he shouldn't have got $300 million. Oh, he got overpaid. He's only 1B or number 2. What does this do for his legacy? Eastern Conference Finals MVP and Finals MVP, big series.
Oh, this I think cements his legacy in Celtics lore. I think because he's been the one to kind of pick up the slack in this playoff run. Like Tatum, he's the guy, quote unquote, but Jalen Brown's been the one who he's had those 40-point games when Tatum's off. He's had those games where he's putting the team on his back where other guys aren't stepping up to the plate. So, I mean, he hasn't really had a bad game in this finals. Like, last game he finished with like 30, 8-8. And that was when he got off to a slow start, too. So, again, they're pitting these two guys against each other. Granted, they're two similar, very talented wing guards in this league that could definitely be number ones on any team that they go to. But I think this just shows, like, who cares about the who's one or who's two? Like, Jaylen Brown is probably just as good as Jason Tatum in his own way. Like, their games are different. Like, Jaylen Brown's able to drive to the paint. He's a lot stronger. He's a lot more physical. And you look at him, he looks like a guy that should be physical, and he doesn't fall in love with the jump shot. Although I know Missoula, that's his philosophy. Get up as many threes in each game, and hopefully we make them. But like Jaylen Brown, even though he had 9 threes in the last game, I think he made like a couple of them, he's still getting downhill, still getting to the mid-range, still trying to attack the defense. So for his legacy, I mean, getting Finals MVP and then Eastern Conference Finals MVP, this is basically his chip right here. Like, he's the guy. He's the reason that they made it this far. Tatum's the name on the face of the Celtics, but like, they don't make it here if Jaylen Brown doesn't do what he does. I think, I don't know. Now I'm drawing a blank, but like, it's just fun to watch because like Jaylen Brown, he came into the league, like, he didn't have a jump shot. He was a real strong, physical young guy, and the way he's built his game up to becoming a perennial All-Star, to being an All-NBA level player, is not easy to do when you have somebody who, I mean, from 19 has been propped up as the next face of the league almost. You know, that's what the Celtics want him to be. That's what they want Jason Tatum to be. And Jaylen Brown has kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit. And you hear people like Stephen A. Smith saying, like, he's not marketable and he's not someone you could sell. Like, I don't think it's true. I mean, sure, he's a different type of basketball player. He's a smart guy. But he can ball too. Like, he's shown it. And you got to give him credit where credit's due. Like, this kid, he's worked every year. He's worked and built on his game. Like, everybody made fun of him not being able to go left, and that still might be an issue. But who cares? Because like, he's still able to make plays, and you can't really stop him right now. So I don't even know if I answered the question, but.
He said something ironic in when he was talking about Jaylen Brown, and I'll say this: we spoke about it this morning. I don't want to take the topic on a tangent, but I also can't help but think this way. It's amazing to see how far Jaylen Brown's come. Really good basketball player. I think that I've been saying for a while that he looks better than Jason Tatum, and we saw it in the finals series in 2020 when they lost to Golden State, and Jaylen Brown had played great in that series, and Jason Tatum had clearly struggled, right? And it seemed like in the big moments they went to Jaylen Brown, and Jaylen Brown continually answers the bell. He hit the big shot against the Pacers to send them packing in Game 1 that completely turned that series on its head, right when the Pacers could have made it a series instead of getting swept. And that was their best opportunity, and Jaylen Brown was the one who made the shot, right? And that just seems to be the common denominator, the common theme with the Celtics is that Jaylen Brown's been the guy they go to because Jason Tatum does not answer the bell in big moments in these big games, in these playoff games. He seems to do it in regular season. He has no problem in regular season, but it's definitely a thing where mentally the pressure is too much for him, and Jaylen Brown answers the bell. So Jaylen Brown, credit to him. He's had to live in Jason Tatum's shadow for a long time, and he's getting the credit he deserves. But if you've been watching basketball for a while, you realize that Jaylen Brown has been more reliable than Jason Tatum in big moments, and this is nothing surprising, right? Us being here in this moment in time, it should have been something. It's a formality. We were always headed here. It was always going to happen. Is the way I look at it. So does this mean he's a Hall of Famer? I mean, I guess maybe we can have that conversation. I don't think one Finals MVP does that for you, but I think that he has a chance to get there. Jaylen Brown, and he's certainly the face of the Boston Celtics franchise. I think that Jason Kidd, while I do think he was playing mind games with the Celtics, I do think he was being honest. I think if you're scouting and game planning for the Celtics right now, you treat Jason Tatum like he's the second option, and you treat and that doesn't mean you don't respect him, but you really are really trying to take Jaylen Brown out of the game because he's the guy that's going to hurt you and play well in the big game. So he's the face of the Boston Celtics franchise. That's the way I kind of look at it as well. And I think that Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White all have far greater Finals MVP cases than Jason Tatum has. That's just the way I view it, right? I think all three of those guys have a better Finals MVP case than Jason Tatum. So that's the way I view it. But I'll say this, and I know we got a lot of other stuff to cover, man, and so and it's late, but I'll say this to y'all. Me personally, I'm watching the game last night. I was sad watching the game because the NBA is in a terrible place, in my opinion. Not from a talent perspective, even, but just from having the face of the league, the conversation. I know it's tiring to have, but it's tough to watch. These playoffs have been pretty bad, in my opinion. The most exciting thing, if you think about these playoffs from start to finish, the most exciting thing that happened was the Knicks run. To be honest, Jalen Brunson's ascension in the playoffs and the Knicks being good for the first time in God knows how long and actually making a run in the playoffs, that was the most exciting thing. The most exciting thing that we had this postseason, to be quite honest. And also Denver getting beat. Denver getting beaten in 7 games was also very exciting to watch. And that series was exciting in general, regardless of outcome. But that's been it. That's been it. It's been a bad postseason. It's been tough to watch, to be quite honest with you. I'm not sure where the NBA goes. I think when we talk about face of the league, in my opinion, you're talking about a player that is a lightning rod, a player that sways opinion, everybody has an opinion on, that everyone feels the need to give an opinion about. And I just don't think we have a lot of players in the NBA. In fact, I don't think we have any players in the NBA besides Steph Curry and LeBron and KD like that anymore, right? I think those 3 guys are lightning rods, and those 3 guys keep this thing afloat. They're the business of the NBA. But when you're talking about these young up-and-coming guys, that's not the case. And I know everyone wants to talk about Wembanyama. As a basketball fan, enjoy his rise to dominance because it'll happen as long as he stays healthy. But he's not going to be some lightning. I mean, I can't see into the future, but I don't really see him as that kind of personality necessarily. So I really worry about the viability of the league long term. I think they're going to have to expand the league, and get a couple other teams that I know they're talking about doing. But I also think they need to shake up the East and the West and maybe move some teams from coast to coast because the East is just too weak. There's not enough competition in the East. The West is where all the competition really is. And as you move away from this era of LeBron, right? You got to think about what the NBA was. They had Michael Jordan, they had Kobe, they had Bron, back to back to back. That's amazing. That fed generations of families for a long time. And now we're here, and there's no answer to that. We don't have a face. We don't have the guy who's going to push this game forward and be the guy that everyone feels the need to talk about. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about LeBron we're talking about LeBron and the season's over. And that's just where we are, right? It's the reality of it. He's still a lightning rod in conversation. He's still the guy we all want to talk about. And so I just don't know where we go from here from that perspective, but we're not getting great, compelling series anymore. And we're not getting great, compelling storylines off the court. You know what I mean? We're not seeing great character arc. I know this isn't a Hollywood film, but it kind of is like that. The NBA has kind of made a name for itself off of being like a Hollywood film, off of having a beginning, a middle, and an ending, right? For these great players that we've come to love over time. You know, so I don't know. That's just kind of how I felt yesterday watching the game. I mean, maybe no one else shares my opinion, but I just think the NBA is in a tough spot and in a rough spot, and it's tough. I mean, it made me sad because we're on the way out of LeBron. LeBron's gonna move on, and I really just want nothing more than for him to fire a jolt into the NBA's arm here and move and go somewhere else where he can contend, like go to Dallas or go to Golden State, or maybe Steph goes to join him. I don't know. Go somewhere else and just put light this league on fire again. Give us something to talk about, and not only that, but give us a great product on the court where you have a chance to win, because the league just seems to be better when that's the case. I don't know, people won't agree with that, but the last great NBA Finals series that I saw was with LeBron in 2016. It may have been that long. That was a phenomenal final series. So I don't know, man. There's some thoughts that ran through my head yesterday, sharing it with the people, but I'm sure everyone will disagree. You know how that go.
Hey, Pierre Jackson we talked about that today. We kind of lose to that in the conversation of if we will beat Anthony Edwards. I ain't going to go into detail. Y'all can just go and watch it. It was a really good conversation on that, which is funny we brought it up today. So that's not something that is far-fetched of an important conversation of where do we go from here? What is the next phase of the league? One of the names that people tried to throw out there was Luka Doncic, and Brian Windhurst recently ethered him after the last game. This NBA Finals series, what does this mean for Luka and his legacy?
He's got a long way to go. I mean, he's still young. What is he, like 24 now? I mean,
yeah,
it's not. All right. So with his play and the complaining and all that stuff, it's become a lot. And it's been that way for some time now, where he complains way too much. And I think fans don't like it. The team doesn't like it. It's taken away from some good basketball that can be played. Like even game 3, that game is like winnable. And he spent most of it complaining to the refs, trying to bait people into fouls, and then he gets fouled out on a stupid. Why I don't even know why he tried. I didn't even see the game. I didn't see the back end of the game, but seeing him try to take a charge there, when you have 5 fouls, so you have to be careful. I think they win that game if he stays in the game, by the way. But because he was stupid, and then post game he's blaming the refs, saying, "Oh, 6 fouls in a finals game is crazy." No, the way you've been playing is crazy. You don't defend. You like everything that Wendy said was true. Like it's gonna get to a point where like people are gonna be fed up. Your team's starting to get fed up. They're telling you like to stop talking to the refs, just play basketball. And it seems like he can't do that. Like he feels like he has to complain after every call. So I mean, you don't want to say like this is what Europeans are like, but I'm sure they do complain a little bit, a little more than most people. So he's still so young. He's still got a lot of NBA years in the tank, and I mean the numbers he's put up to this point are unreal for his. I mean it's the game that's being played right now, but still, a guy who's putting up 33, 8 and 8 on a nightly basis, that doesn't come around that often. And it's his first finals. It's tough. You got a tough matchup against the Celtics. It's really just you and Kyrie. I mean, if you look at the box score every night, I mean, I'm not expecting much from Derek Jones or PJ Washington. But still, the greats find a way to win. The greats don't blame other people in post-game pressers like he's done a few times. So he's got to just look in the mirror in the offseason, be more accountable, see what you can do to change the narrative around you. Which right now, you're a great player, one of the best players. You could be the best player in the league, but you've got to change some things. And I'm confident. I think he'll be back. He'll be back on this stage again. Um, but it's not a good first showing for him. Like he didn't play bad in game one and game two, but I mean, when you look at other guys who have made finals runs, like I said, they're not making excuses. You can't make excuses when you get to this level. Like if you saw Anthony Edwards, who was shooting terribly in that series, he's not making excuses. He's saying, "I played bad. We're gonna move on to the next game." Like you got to be more accountable. And right now, Luka, I don't really see much accountability when it comes to basketball at this point.
Okay, live. Okay, I would totally agree with everything Miles said. The reality is, I'm not going to sit here and repeat everything he said. Obviously, he's right on the nose. The only thing I think about Luka and what comes to my mind is he has to grow up. He's 25 years old. He's still growing. You know, it's his first NBA Finals. He's going to grow. He'll win an NBA championship most likely in his career. I think that he's going to grow and get better, and he's going to start to take his physical conditioning in more seriously as his career continues. I think that's the next step for him. As well, and taking care of himself. I think that's the biggest thing. He's got to take care of himself better. Maybe he never does, and maybe I'm wrong. And he doesn't want to chase greatness. He's not motivated to chase greatness the way some of the guys we've seen in the past, like LeBron and Kobe and these other guys. Which again would be part of the problem I just discussed in the last segment, saying, "Hey, yo, like we don't got to face this league. We don't have one. Just so you guys know." But I want to bet on his generational ability and his talent, and I just think that he'll grow from this. They're certainly playing the better basketball team. I think on paper the Boston Celtics were always the better team. The reason why I didn't pick them was solely because I think the way they played can be a bit stupid, and we kind of saw that in Game 3. I mean, I think Dallas bailed them out as much as anything else in that game, right? With Luka fouling out and just some of their possessions offensively and the way that they've chosen to play offensive basketball in this series, where it's just all ISO ball and no ball movement, no off-ball cutting, nothing like that for the Dallas Mavericks. You're not going to win like that. Meanwhile, they're getting these off-ball cuts, and they're getting easier baskets. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that I think with Luka, it's just a part of the process for a player who's great to go through take his lumps, right, and to learn from experience in the fall and to get back up. And Brian Windhorst said it. He was like, "Hey, like I hope that in a few years I'm, praising Luka for coming around and using this moment as a learning experience." I think he will. I do think he will. But I think Dallas needs to revamp the way they choose to play offense, because they're falling back into some old bad habits. And when the guys around you are knocking down threes like they aren't, it's hard to win that way. Tim Hardaway, you can't just be on the court to just shoot threes. Like it's basketball. Can you cut? Can you get a rebound? Can you get a putback? Can you do something else? If you're just out there to throw, and that's the problem with the game today. We're just jacking up threes left and right. It's ridiculous, right? And Boston is still, and I didn't mean to bring. It's all of them. It's all of them. It's not just Tim Hardaway. It's PJ. PJ's been great. I can't complain about PJ. He's been really good. But it's Maxi Kleber. It's Josh Green. It's Jaden Hardy. It's all these guys who have given them and contributed nothing to what Dallas is trying to accomplish, because they're out there just parked in the 3-point line, relying on Luka to beat the first guy, get into the teeth of the defense, and then make a play for them and create an easy basket for them. That's hard to do, and it just wears Luka down. Luka's worn down too. Some of these defensive clips I'm looking at where he gets blown by, he's hurt. He's clearly compromised. So I know we don't want to hear that. It's because always oh, he doesn't look hurt. I heard Kendrick Perkins say, well, he doesn't look hurt when he gets into his bag. Whatever. You didn't play no defense. I don't know why you're even on TV talking. No one wants to hear your opinion about anything. Stop. He didn't play no defense in the NBA. He didn't do anything in the NBA. But the reality of it is Luka, where I look at is his ability. He's such a great player. He's gonna grow. He's gonna get better from this. And I have no concerns long term. It just is what it is, man. It's Boston's time, and that's fine. That's fine. I hate it. I hate this world, but it is what it is. It's unfortunate, man. I would I would love to know why every white person I know is a Boston Celtics fan. It is interesting, but it's off topic.
Nah, I've seen some posts that just reiterates the disgust for Boston Celtics fans because I've seen the Finals MVP actually should go to the GM. It should go to the owner, as if the players. And I saw somebody comment on Threads. It was beautiful. White person commented. He said, "Y'all Boston Celtics, y'all white people in Boston really hate to give a black man credit." And it was great to see that from a white person saying that, to comment that. There's no way in the world that Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, or Jason Tatum shouldn't get the Finals MVP. We're not going to give it to the GM, the coach. We're not doing that. Speaking of coaches, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this because you guys are handsome men. I can say that without it going into a pause area. You guys are handsome men. But people have gone through this in life where your first option, that girl that you really, really want, it don't work out well. She don't really want you. She's not feeling you. So if you like that, you sometimes have a rebound chick. The Lakers, the chick that they wanted to bring to prom with them was Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley turned them down. So now they have to go to the rebound. Their rebound is rumored to be JJ Redick. We've talked about it, but a simple thought, simple yes, no. Is JJ Redick at this point the best option, the best hire for the Los Angeles Lakers?
Ma, you on mute right now.
He might be the only option right now. I mean, that's the flashy hire, and I mean it'll distract people from the chaos that is the Lakers right now. But I mean, it's tough to sell like this team and bringing on a first-time head coach who's fresh off the podcast booth to running a team. I mean, sure, JJ, he's a brilliant basketball mind. Like listening to him on the podcast, he knows his stuff. I'm sure he'll be a good coach eventually. But to ask him to step in and coach AD and LeBron and expect them to all of a sudden rise to new heights that they have been unable to since the bubble. It's tough. I mean, they put all their chips in for Dan Hurley, and that would have been a knock it out of the park hire. I mean, that guy is a basketball genius. I'm like, if he would agree to be the Knicks head coach, I'd say forget about Tibbs. I mean, sure, Tibbs is great. He's brought us back to prominence, but I mean, I think Dan Hurley, he's got bigger aspirations than college. But I think he came back because honestly, the three-peat is very enticing. That's another challenge that he's a guy who's been slept on his whole life, basically. He's lived in the shadow of his brother, and then he rose through the rankings of coaching. It would have been a great hire, but all things considered, why would he go to LA? I'm not like Tone. I'm not trying to knock the Lakers, and I'm not laughing at you guys, but I'm just saying, why would he go to LA of all places right now when honestly the UConn job is more enticing than the Lakers job? So, but JJ Redick, I think he'll come in. He'll make things look good on the surface, but if he's got this team as a playing team after a few years, we're back in the same spot that we were with Frank Vogel. I mean, this all boils down to them. They should have hired Ty Lue when they had the chance, but they messed that up. And now pretty much all the good coaches are locked into the teams that they're at. Like Ty Lue just upped his contract, re-upped his contract. He's not going anywhere. I just don't know where the Lakers go from here. Like what? Borrega, a guy who, he was an assistant under Pop and went over to the Charlotte Hornets. Didn't see much success over there. That would be hard to sell to season ticket holders. I, I don't know how you sell this to them with JJ Redick, but saying that him and Brown are boys. They got a podcast. They talk sports. Maybe they'll do this after games. They'll they'll talk sports after the games. Maybe that's how you sell it. You spin it like that. But I just
imagine they still do the podcast. Hey, Greg. On the flip side, because I think we're of the same mindset that Hurley would have been the best option. JJ is probably the best option left now. That's on the table for the Hurley aspect. I know he lost some key pieces. Three-peating, we know, is very, very hard to do. Do you see Hurley possibly actually three-peating? And then if you want to touch on the Lakers gig, you can. But Hurley going back to UConn, he's staying there. Is he three-peating this season?
I'd bet against it, to be honest. It's not about him. It's really about the landscape of college basketball. I think that, Kyle Party's loading up in Arkansas. I think he's got a great class, right? And so he's got some teams he's got to contend against, right? I think that's just the reality of it. Other blue blood, Duke is going to have an incredible class this year with Cooper Flag and the other guys that are coming there. And so I would bet against it. The reality is, too, I saw someone tweet this, and I think it came from a pretty bitter Lakers fan, but there's always some truth in people's bitterness. And one of the things he said was that, Dan Hurley decided to stay in college basketball and go for a record and go do something that hasn't been done in an extremely long time. All right. And we'll put him in he's already in the Hall of Fame as a basketball guy. He's a coach, he's already in the Hall of Fame. But to put him in really rarefied air amongst college basketball coaches, but the college game is watered down, is what he said. And I'll be honest, it is, right? It isn't as good as it once was, similar to how I was complaining about how the NBA has no face of the league and how the quality of the game, the quality of our NBA game is not the same, right? And the quality of these playoff games have not been great, right? And that's just the reality of it. It's a bad product the NBA's put out there this year. It just is. I'm for just being honest about it. It's the same thing with college. And I think those two things are intertwined because we're getting a lot of these guys from college to come play in the NBA. So it's clearly one thing has to do with the other. But, when I think about, guys saying UConn's a better job and stay at UConn, listen, I think Dan Hurley did this because his wife didn't want to go. All right. His wife didn't want to go. He respected the wishes of his wife. And for anybody who's married and is worth a damn as a husband in any way, you try to keep your wife happy. And you understand that's just one of the things you've got to do. And hopefully your wife keeps you happy too. Hopefully it works both ways. And the reality is that with this situation, he chose to put her first. I do believe that. I think he would have accepted that offer. I do believe that. And I think that at the Lakers, where you can get on Jeannie Buss and Pelinka in the front office is by saying, hey, I think if you offered them $100 million or you made him higher paid than Monty Williams, that it would have been so much money that his wife would have not been able to say no, that they would have had to work around it. But I don't even believe that. I don't think it's really the money. I think that at that point, he's staying in UConn anyways because he spoke about his father coming to games. He spoke about his brother coming to games. He spoke about his family, the ties he has to the area. And it's not Connecticut. It's the fact that it's close to Jersey. He's a Jersey guy through and through. If the Knicks had offered him that job, he probably takes it because he wants to go to the NBA and it's close to home. It's just the reality of it. He's a Jersey guy through and through. So I don't think it's a money thing. This is not to bail Jeannie Buss and them out. They should not be bailed out. They do not have fun. We've spoken about this on this podcast numerous of times. This has been something we've talked about before. And if you listen to us, you know that I've said specifically and that Tone has said specifically and Miles has mentioned specifically that, hey, these guys are running low on money. They only have one source of revenue. These other owners are making money from other streams of income. They have investment firms. They have other things they do. And Jeannie Buss is just running this thing like a mom and pop, pulling from the Staples Center fund. She's doesn't have money. I was just in LA. Donald Sterling, he has so many businesses across LA. It's ridiculous. His name is everywhere in LA. You can't go anywhere without saying Sterling's name. That is not the case with Bus. That is not the case. So, I know I went on a tangent, but the reality of it is that, look, I think that Hurley made the best decision for him and his family. I don't know that it's an indictment on the Lakers' job. I care less about who takes this job and more about who they bring. It's Sterling. It's Sterling, by the way, Tone. Sterling's name is everywhere. I'm not kidding. Like, he has businesses all over LA. He owns property all over LA. Like, I'm not exaggerating. It's crazy.
I thought he was clipped though.
No, he wasn't clipped. He was clipped by the NBA. A very small. That's like throwing a rock into a very large ocean. He's a white man.
Yeah, for him, that
means nothing. He was a white man with a lot of money. He owns property all over LA that he still owns. His family still owns property in LA. He owns like damn near half of the city, man. It's crazy. So different topic. But I was gonna say I care more about who they bring into play. Now it's about the players. Is LeBron gonna come back? Most likely he will. We'll see what happens. Let's see what happens there. And then if it does happen, okay, who are you surrounding him with? What are you guys doing to get better on the court? We can talk about coaching all day. All right. So Jerry Reddick's not going to go out there and shoot threes to those guys. We need to bring in some shooters. They need to bring in some guys that can play alongside LeBron James and give them a chance to really contend. And clearly, if you guys saw on Twitter, LeBron responded back to somebody saying, they said, hey, like people think LeBron don't want to win anymore. And he was like, they never know what they're talking about. Clearly, he wants to win. Okay, this idea that he came to LA to launch his Spring Hill Entertainment nonsense or whatever, bro, he could do that from anywhere. He's LeBron James. He can go take a contract in Taiwan, and he would still be able to do all the things he wants to do off the court. He doesn't need LA to do that. Yeah, man, I really think that they need to surround him with good players, and that's what we should be focusing on. If they hire JJ Redick, whatever. He can't be worse than Darvin Ham was. And don't tell me about the Western Conference run. He had LeBron James on his team. When you coach LeBron James, you're not going to get credit. Just walk into it knowing that. Even if you're a good coach, Ty Lue's the only one who got credit because Ty Lue held LeBron accountable. He coached LeBron James. He coached him. Very few guys have the balls to do that. Let's just call it a spade a spade. I think Dan Hurley would have the balls to do it. You know what I mean? So, look, I don't look at the Lakers job as a dead-end job. I don't think that it's undesirable. I'm not buying all that. But I am saying that the Lakers have we're looking at a symptom and not the disease. The disease is Jeannie Buss and the Buss family. Like, y'all don't have money, bro. Like, you guys are cheap. You guys are really cheap. And it's a little scary. And I think that other teams can sense the weakness with the Lakers right now. And I don't know where this goes because they're never going to sell. They're never going to sell. If you know anything about that family's history, that is everything that family has built is the Lakers. You know what the father did, Dr. Buss did to own that franchise, the debt he put himself in, the divorces, he lost relationships over owning that basketball team. It was everything to him. So they'll never sell, and that's just the scary thing about it, man. Because where's the money at? We ain't talking about John Mara. We ain't talking about them. Talking about people who don't have money, man. It's just the reality of it. So it's a scary situation if you're a Lakers fan, but I'm more concerned about what's on the court at this point. I'm not worried about this coaching search anymore. JJ Redick will probably be the hire. And then what? You know what I mean? If he's coaching the same team they coached last year, what difference does it make? So that's where we at. That's what should matter.
Cap of facts. Caitlin Clark should have been on the Olympic roster.
Cap. Yeah, I'm not doing the Stephen A game where it's like, oh, it's about marketability for the league. Shut up. Like, we're trying to overgovern the women's game. All right, they are making decisions that men make on the men's side all the time, right? Like, the committee for the USA team on the men's side chose to put Kyrie Irving on the team. All right, you're mad about Caitlin Clark not making the team. Arike averaging like 27 points a game. She's not on the team. She's just killing, and she's not on the team. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about Caitlin Clark because she's the great white hope that's going to change the league, man. Don't do that. Like, don't use her name to push an agenda. Don't use Caitlin Clark as this excuse to try to justify, nonsensical ideas. You have to be smart here when talking about this. At the end of the day, Caitlin Clark will have her moment. She's going to make the team eventually, right? This is not going to make or break the marketability of the league. It's not going to change, the ability of the league to grow, right? The fact that she's not on the USA team, all right? Like, it's just not. It's just not. So we have to be really careful about how we talk about Caitlin Clark in this situation and add context to it. They're doing the right thing for their game, for their sport. The women who run the WNBA deserve some confidence, and we should allow them to do what they do. And if they can't market Caitlin Clark in time, in 4 or 5 years, okay, then we can have a conversation. But right now, to overanalyze everything they do and act as if, Stephen A. So Stephen A. should go run the WNBA then. He should be the commissioner, since he has all these great ideas on marketing and all this stuff, right? Like, get out of here, man. Like, it's unfair to the other girls who play this sport who are really great. There's a lot of great players in the WNBA. It is. It's unfair. Like, you're trying to prop her forward. And it's unfair to Caitlin Clark. She didn't ask for any of this. She didn't ask for any of it, So I don't love that. I don't like it at all. I don't like the narrative we're trying to spin here about her. But again, I'll leave you on this. I'm rambling, but I'll leave you on this. Caitlin Clark is a face of the league kind of person, because this is what it looks like. When you got a face of the league, this is what it looks like. Everybody got an opinion. It leads every sports show. You got me talking about women hooping right now. That's iconic. I'm just gonna keep it a stack. That's iconic. You got First Take leading off the show with talking about Caitlin Clark. We had a 20-minute segment uninterrupted about Caitlin Clark on First Take. That is what being the face of the league looks like. You are a lightning rod, even if you don't mean to be. You are. They have it, man. They got it. And so, congratulations, WNBA, because while the NBA is declining in that aspect, they're on the ascent. So it's really fun to watch.
Wait, I saw somewhere that they're still going to lose like $50 million this year, even though, Caitlin Clark's in the league. They're doing all these.
Why?
They're still losing money. They're still losing money off this.
Is it because they can't? What is it? What is it?
This is what I will say on this, which I do agree with Stephen A. on this aspect. Not so much the Caitlin Clark being on the Olympic team.
Yeah.
I don't think that the W prepared itself and put itself in position to succeed on the popularity, the level of what Caitlin Clark was bringing in, Angel Reese, and players of this rookie class. I think for years the marketing in W has been questionable.
That's fair.
I think for years they have not done the right things and made the right moves to help the players, put the players in the best position. So on that front, yeah, the W has to be better. And that's not on Caitlin Clark. The W has to be better as a whole. Yeah, I knew Caitlin Clark was coming. I don't think they was prepared for Caitlin Clark to come, if that makes any sense.
I think that's very fair. That's very fair. And I think there's a case for her to be on the team solely from a marketing perspective. Don't get me wrong. I just don't like how, it's almost, look, the sport existed for ages and you didn't care about it. It seems a bit disingenuous now all of a sudden to have all this advice if you're Stephen A. Tone has been watching WNBA for a long time. So he knows this. He knows. But a lot of us haven't been. So to sit here and act on a high horse and act as if, you can give them all this great advice about how to market their star, it's a bit ridiculous to me, is all I'm saying. So I just feel like with the Caitlin Clark thing, the W is going to have to get better at marketing. They have no choice, and they have a gold mine in front of them with Caitlin Clark. You've got to be smart about how you utilize that gold mine, when you tap in, when you give her a break, when you got to really use her image and likeness to build your league up and prop this league forward, which is what will not just benefit you, but benefit her as well. And you've got to do it in a smart way. And you can't put a target in her back while doing it. You put her on Team USA, these girls are going to have her head, man. These girls are ruthless. All right. There are a lot of girls that work their ass off their whole life to get that opportunity. You can't just skip steps. It's not fair to the other girls. And it doesn't look, you just said it. They're going to lose how much? $50 million? $50 million?
They've lost.
Well-
They've lost money every year. They've been in the league. I mean, they've had a league. So
All right, so you already owe rent no matter what. You back paid on rent. You still owe. It's not like you put on Team USA, all of a sudden you're gonna make up that difference. It is what it is, you know. So hopefully they can bridge that gap and be in the net positive in the future, and they get these girls paid what they deserve and things like that. But I don't think that this is like the solution. You know what I mean? I don't really see that.
The other factor too that is just facts to your point, and we can move on from this because I don't want to end up a whole conversation on Caitlin Clark because that could be a whole. It can go
It can go a whole lot of ways.
Hey, I mean, First Take had a whole 20 minutes, and Molly Kerm had to be like, we're going on a commercial break. With this, that's facts, which it can't be ignored. As much as I love the W, as much as I've been watching it, even on our show, we did not include it in topics most of the time till it was the finals, till it was March Madness and the Final Four games because nobody cared. That's just facts. That's a part of the business. Nobody cared. It wasn't doing numbers. Y'all wasn't going to watch. Y'all wasn't going to tune in. Point blank, period. And at the end of the day, it's a business. It's a business. The USA men kept Kyrie off the team. It's a business decision. To be that ignorant to think that it's just solely basketball is not the case. It's a business decision. The USA women's team came out and said, because some of her fans are out of control and ruthless, if we have her on this team, because we combine business and the basketball aspect, yes, we're not stupid. Having her on the team would be great for business. But she isn't good enough to play. So y'all gonna have a whole hissy fit if she's on the team playing 2 minutes a game. So we actually rather not have her on the team. I see nothing wrong with it. I see nothing wrong with it at all. The only person I think that has a legitimate gripe is Enrique. And that's about it. Maybe you take DT off. Six gold ring. Maybe you want to have that argument. Maybe you take Chelsea Gray off because she hasn't played all season. They all deserve to be on the team. I don't think you take anybody off. Enrique, and for those that are just so upset, Enrique and Caitlin Clark are alternates if somebody gets injured or somebody can't make it. So she might end up there anyway.
Anyways, so all this argument is stupid, right?
She might end up there anyways. Like Chelsea Gray might not be healthy enough when that time comes. DT might want to run. No, she's still gonna go get the other goal. She's not gonna do that. But Chelsea Gray or somebody else might get injured. You never know. They're alternates, so she might end up there. You know what does sell? You know what does numbers no matter what time of the year it is? The NFL. Trevor Lawrence just got paid 5 years, $275 million contract extension, $200 million guaranteed, $142 million fully guaranteed. Should the Cowboys pay Dak next? He's on that last year of that contract extension, the 4-year, $160 million extension he got, 2-5 playoff record, and they still got to pay CD and Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I'd say no. I don't think he's the answer. I mean, he's good enough to keep them at where they are right now. But for Jerry Jones, I'm sure. I mean, I'm going to pay you over $60 million a year to just get me to the divisional games. Like for that, he's expecting a chip at some point. But I just don't think Dak can win a ring in Dallas, which is crazy to say. Like they've had all the pieces defensively, offensively. They built a pretty good offense around him too. I don't think that they should re-sign him. I think this should be the last dance with the Cowboys. I mean, he'll have plenty of, suitors in the offseason when he's a free agent. I mean, maybe even the Giants. I'm sure that's where we're going next. But
no, take all the air out of my joint.
No, because I think you pay CD pay Micah, and you move on from Dak. I mean, you got Trey Lance. Maybe you see what he's got. He could be the bridge for your next quarterback next year. I mean, but to think that I'm going to pay Dak over close to 300 million for the next 4 or 5 years just because he's been there for almost a decade. I mean, loyalty. You pay people for loyalty if they've won. That's what it is.
Okay. Here's what I'm gonna say, and I hate defending the Cowboys anyway. I'm actually not doing that in saying this. I don't think that the losing that's happened there is his fault. I think Dak has been one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL for quite some time. He deserves a lot of credit for what he's turned himself into. I didn't see this coming. He's become an elite quarterback in this game. Period. Top 10, right? Top 10 quarterback in this game. I don't think it's debatable. He is in the NFC East. I mean, I think he's the best quarterback in the division. I don't think it's even a debate. I think he's the best. He's the best quarterback in the division. I don't even think it's particularly close, if I'm being very honest, especially last year. Okay, with what Jalen Hurts showed on tape, I'm not doing it. It's not a conversation. It's not. We'll not have that conversation. So Dak's the guy in the NFC East. So for me, the way I look at it is, okay, you've got this bright idea not to pay Dak Prescott, Cowboys. You have Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb to pay. He did. Jalen Hurts got exposed. That's a whole different conversation. He did not play well last year. He did not. But again, different conversation. No, Miles is sensitive to that. That's his twin and all that. So whatever. So
no context, there's no context behind it. But keep going.
I'm not going there because you see, it's 12, almost 12, 17. We're on the West Coast. It was 8 o'clock different. So what I'll say is about Dak, you're just bad idea not to pay him. It is to the point of how you started this conversation. Trevor Lawrence just got paid like $225 million, whatever it is, cumulatively. There's a reason why it happened. Okay, he hasn't won anything either. But it's really, really hard to find elite quarterback play or even good quarterback play in this league. That's where the Giants are right now. It's really hard. You're going to sit here and not pay Dak Prescott. That's a terrible idea. Because what are you going to do? Throw out Trey Lance and hope that you can create a reclamation project with him and he finds himself and becomes the player that we all thought he'd be when he got drafted super high in the draft? Yeah, I'm not here for that. Now, if you want to do that, that's fine. Be stupid and let Dak walk. And then, yes, Giants, please go after him because it is hard to find elite quarterbacks in the market. Guys like Dak Prescott don't hit the market. He's far better than Kirk Cousins is. He's a better player than Kirk Cousins, in my opinion. He just is. And Kirk Cousins has been out here getting paid for his services, right? To my point, it is hard to find good to elite quarterback play in this league. And don't even talk to me about Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes and like those one-on-one type guys, because those guys are even harder to find, right? That is a needle in a haystack situation in and of itself, right? I mean, you think about the NFL draft and all the quarterbacks that went early and all this stuff. Like one of them's going to be good. Like one of them, maybe two if we're lucky. One of them will be good. Drake May looks terrible in video, which is why I said he needs to go to the right situation, but different conversation. We can talk about that later. We'll get there. But I just look at this situation like, okay, again, like what are you going to do? A quarterback, that's the most important position in the game. You're going to leave a void there. You're not going to win anything. And you're not going to be bad enough to draft a quarterback high in the next class or even the next one because you have too many pieces around whoever you put at quarterback to be terrible. You're not going to be terrible. You'll still be one of the better teams in the division. You're going to win games. So just a really ridiculous notion to let that guy walk, in my opinion, because of what the quarterback means in the sport and how important it is to have a good player behind the wheel of your ship. So, okay, let him walk. And I am so open. I am so open to Dak Prescott being a Giant. I truly am, because I do think that one thing we don't talk about with the Cowboys nearly enough is the incompetency from their coaching. The coaching has been as big of a problem as anything else on that team for a long time. We don't talk about that nearly enough. The misuse of timeouts, the amount of penalties they rack up in big games. That's on Dak Prescott. We're gonna blame Dak for that? Okay, go ahead, please. That falls right into everybody else's hands. Let Dak walk. You know how you know Dak is really good, by the way? The way his peers talk about him. The way guys around the league talk about Dak Prescott, they respect Dak Prescott. They say he's really, really good, and he gets a bad rap because he plays for the Cowboys, and you can never make a Cowboys fan happy. But at the end of the day, Cowboys fans are pointing their arrows at the wrong person. You should be looking at Mike McCarthy, who they brought back again, in spite of the fact that this team has no discipline in big moments, and it's the same thing, that same thorn in their side that's been biting them for a long time. In terms of their discipline in big moments, not good racking up penalties, not taking stupid PIs, not taking stupid unnecessary roughness penalties, things like that. Time clock mismanagement. Like, you're trying to win a Super Bowl, how can you have that at the coaching position? You can't have that. You can't expect to win. So we're gonna sit here and blame Dak. All right, do that. But Dak is far more than a bridge quarterback. Dak's an elite quarterback in the NFL. I'll tell you that right now. You can't name 10 quarterbacks better than Dak Prescott. You cannot. It is impossible. And like I say, the best quarterback back by far in the NFC East, by far. But the best passer, best precision passer in the NFC East, Dak Prescott. It ain't even close. So for me, pay him if you're not stupid. But if Dallas, please be stupid, guy. I am all in for the Giants going after him, because we are in quarterback hell right now.
I think we're concerning Dak, it's a tough thing. If you do sign him, you can't bring back the coach. Like, you have to do something different, because signing Dak and keeping that coach is just signing up to have the same thing happen. Something has to change with the Cowboys, whether it's Dak, whether it's the coach. Something has to change with that organization for it to actually improve, because the roster is built to win Super Bowls and hasn't even sniffed a Super Bowl. So they got to make some changes there regardless. Next week, we're going to talk about Caleb Williams. Next week, we'll talk about Jordan Love, Tua. They up next for a contract too. So we're going to talk about, out of those two, who deserves it, who should get it. By next week, though, one of them might get paid. One of them might reset the market. So
the rumor is Tua's next, and the contract's going to be jaw-dropping. People are not ready for us, but the money he's about to get. But again, I don't blame Miami. What are you going to do? He has you by the nuts. He's got you by the nuts. There's nothing you can do. The same way Aaron Rodgers got the Jets by the nuts. He's doing whatever the hell he wants. You're gonna go up in the mountains and miss the mini camp and all this stuff.
We got
some bull jive.
That's what's so beautiful. Finals gonna be over, so we're gonna have some more availability to NFL talk and free agents with the NBA and the draft and all that good stuff. But Aaron Rodgers also will be on the docket for next week to talk about that, because that's a whole nother thing that deserves its due time. We're not even gonna try to rush that. We end off with the games as usual. We got a new game for y'all. Keep 3, cut 3. We're gonna do big men. Keep 3, cut 3. Domantas Sabonis, Rudy Gobert, Bam, Nick Claxton, Sengun, and Jared Allen. Keep 3, cut 3.
Oh shit, that was mad names. Hold on.
I'll put it in the chat for y'all. Sabonis, Gobert.
Yeah.
Well, cut Gobert.
He put it in the chat right now. Jared Allen, he's getting cut.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Sengun, Bam, and Sabonis are staying for me.
Yeah. And Gobert, Claxton, Allen, they're getting cut.
Claxton may get on that level one day, but he's not there yet.
All right, so keep 3, cut 3. This is going to be players under 25. Jalen Green, Brandon Miller, Tyler Hero, Darius Garland, Cade Cunningham, and Jaime Jaquez.
Ooh, Jaime getting cut. He's getting thrown in the water. Well, let me not say that.
That's racial connotations.
All right.
Oh, Jalen Green's in this?
I'm cutting Jalen Green, honestly.
Jalen Green or Tyler Hero?
I'm cutting Tyler Hero, too.
I knew you were going to do that shit. All right.
So
Brandon-
Miles, so you're cutting Jalen Green, Tyler Hero, and Jaime.
Yeah.
I just think Brandon Miller is special. Like, he's gonna be one of them ones.
He's
soon.
a killer. He's a killer, man.
Brandon Miller, Darius Garland, and Cade. I feel like that's easy.
Who are you keeping, Greg?
I don't think it's that easy.
You gonna take the jumping jelly bean from Houston? Of course you are.
He played great at the end of the season last year. I mean, I wouldn't have taken him until he shown that flash. That was an impressive. I mean, come on.
He got bills. He got stuff to pay for now.
We know that he's an idiot. We didn't say he was smart. We didn't say he was the sharpest tool in the shed. That's for sure. Just because he's an idiot. Let's go Brandon Miller, Darius Garland, and we'll go Cade. I think that's fair. I think this is much closer than the last field. Jalen Green or Tyler Hero can supplant either one of these guys. But I love Cade. Cade, I'm a fan of. I think Cade has a chance to be special. He's just in a bad situation.
Shout out to one of my OGs, shows love to the page all the time, Jason Smith, Jay Smith. He put up a post today that I wanted to ask y'all to answer this one. He said, Andre 3000 is the most overrated rapper. For y'all, if y'all had to choose one person, who comes to mind as an overrated or the most overrated rapper for y'all?
Fuck. Overrated rapper.
It's a tough one.
That is hard.
You know you want to say Kendrick. You know you want to say Kendrick.
Nah, he's not. Whatever, bro. No, he's obviously not overrated. He's obviously not overrated. I don't think that's even a conversation. There are guys though. This is just. It's just about thinking about someone who's well known enough to actually give a damn about at the same time, because there are people that are overrated, and it's like these rap purists, there's guys that they like that, I think Eminem is overrated. That's my answer. Eminem. I think he's overrated. I think he over raps. I think every song sounds the same. I don't think there's any kind of creativity in his sound. I appreciate people who can venture into different types of sound, and I don't think Eminem does that particularly well. It gets tired after you hear it over and over again. I think he's a great. He can rap. He can write. He's got great all that. Yes, it's just the way you deliver it. It's a lot. And for me, this sounds a bit overrated to me. That's how I feel. I would say Eminem, but there's other people I can give you. And Andre 3000 being, if you saying he's overrated, I'm with you. I don't think that's unfair. I really don't. But people in the comments would call me an idiot or whatever. You know how that go. Because apparently you're not allowed to have an opinion that isn't their own. Because everybody's an expert.
Everybody's an expert.
That's right.
Miles, you got Meek Mill up there?
He's not even in the picture. So
Meek's a comedian. He's not a rapper.
See, I don't want to say Drake. I don't want to say Drake.
The fact that you even bringing up his name is fuck. It's gonna make me curse in the podcast. I don't even know why you would even say his name. Why are you saying his name?
I don't want to say Drake.
Why are you even saying his name? You just go with why you're saying his name. I just want to know why that's coming to mind. Why?
Why? I mean, he said some crazy stuff.
Like what?
I'm not going to go through it.
You're talking about his.
No, I can go through the bars after the show. I'm not going to do it off the spot. I'm running on fumes right now. So
are you talking about some of the questionable bars he's had recently?
Overall.
Get out of here. He's put out too many great. Whoa. What did you said overrated rapper or overrated artist? What are we talking about? Because that's an important question. Overrated rapper or overrated artist?
No, I don't think
overrated rapper.
Yeah, he's overrated. He's not an overrated artist. I'll say that.
He's not an
That's
overrated
what
rapper.
that's what you should look at him as. He's an artist. He's not. I
But
don't want to like put
that's
him as.
crazy. You're questioning his rapping chops. That's wild. That's
No, I
really
think
crazy,
I
bro.
think he can rap, but then he'll say weird stuff that like I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you saying this? Like J. Cole wouldn't say this.
Whipped and chained like
Kendrick
American
wouldn't say it,
slaves. Whipped and
huh?
chained like American slaves. There, is that because of Kai when he said that?
That's not one of the things I was going to bring up, but now that you bring it up, that is a weird thing to say. As a you have black in your gene pool, so
Do it. Here's the problem. I hate with the rapping purist people, all right, who are examining everything that you say. Yo, does it sound good? Does it sound good when you put it behind the beat? I understand that everything he says isn't going to be like profound or substantive as Kendrick Lamar or some of his other peers or whatever. Does it sound good when you put it behind a beat and he can rap? He's timestamp Drake he up there with just about anybody. Timestamp Drake is crazy. Okay, 7
nobody's
p.m. in
saying that he
Toronto,
can't
4
rap.
p.m. in Calabasas.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying he can't rap. I'm saying
No.
there are times where
He's the name that comes to mind. He's the name of all the niggas. He's the name. Him.
What am I gonna say? Lil Uzi? That I'm not overrating him. He is where he is.
You could he just name the chat. He just put it in. You could have said Rick Ross. You could have said anyone.
Rick Ross is in his own lane.
What does that mean?
What do you mean?
The drive-through lane? What are you talking about?
No, Rick Ross is in his own lane of you know what you're gonna get from him. You're gonna get solid bars where he's basically bossing up on you the whole time. That's basically his MO on every track.
Drake gives you more than solid bars, man. All right. Go back and listen to Middle of the Ocean on Her Loss. Her Loss is a gold mine. Go back and listen to some of those privileged rappers. Go back and listen to some of those songs. And you're gonna tell me he's overrated? All the rappers out here rapping, he's overrated? Damn, that is crazy. Kendrick did a number on this guy. Future is someone that Future is out here, and you said he's overrated. End the show. I hope they tear you apart in the comments because that's crazy.
We are in the show with this because
overrated for Drake. Yo,
it's this Saturday. We already saw.
Tired.
We saw man's flinch at the weigh-in. Who y'all got? What's your predictions on the Tank Davis Frank Martin fight?
I'm going Tank. I mean, I think he's been in his head the whole time. Tank's been. I mean, he's not really fighting that many guys that are going to give him a run for his money. Like Garcia, that was a good challenge, but again, the rehydration clause was what did him in, and who knows what it would have been like if they went up a weight class. But I mean, they want to talk up this Frank Martin guy. I just don't see it. I don't see him being able to hang with Tank. I mean, Tank is a beast in there. There's a reason that he's the champ. There's a reason that he's the top dog right now. Like, he picks his spots. He's a smaller guy, so he'll throw that uppercut. He'll throw that jab, and he'll catch you. And it'll be lights out. So I think it'll be a knockout at some point later on in the rounds. Maybe not early on, but maybe like 8th, 9th round. But yeah, Tank is a problem.
Hey, you saw it at the weigh-in. The man just raised his hands and Frank Martin flinched. Frank Martin was like, hey, it was right there, though. I guess I'm going with Tank, but I see why he did that. So Griff is in the chat. He said, who would win a boxing match with Greg or Miles? We're not even going to go into that.
Yo,
Griff do that, Griff.
Griff saw the bull not. Fuck. Griff saw the nonsense that he just said.
He on the live. He in the comments on YouTube.
That was so bad, Miles. That was bad. You said that was the worst thing you ever said in the podcast. That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous.
We
That
not.
was ridiculous. That's so frustrating. Like I can't believe you could. Like, Future is out there, right?
It's not a far fetched take, and like you can't compare Future because Future's you got to compare him to other people in his genre. Yeah, it's rap, but it's a different kind of rap.
No, but I don't think it doesn't make any sense because Drake's in every genre of rap. He done did everything. Man, end the show, bro.
Yeah,
I know the vibe. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready, bitch. Mom, we out. Peace.
Peace, man.